Hey everybody, welcome to Who's Your Adventure YouTube channel. My name's Jim, and today we're going to interrupt your regular scheduled programming because this video is not the video that you were supposed to be seeing. The video you were supposed to be seeing was a full-fledged all-weekend 2-day event fishing trip that included my buddy Carl, my buddy Floyd, and a very special guest, somebody that's brand new that has already made one appearance on our channel, and that is our contest winner, Scott Shipley from Southern Indiana. The event was scheduled for Scott and I to actually be camping out down at the Richard Lieber State Recreation Area, basically for 2 days. And I think I can honestly say for both of us, we were both really looking forward to that trip. And then Floyd and Carl were going to join us on Friday. And then Floyd and his girlfriend were going to be joining us on Saturday. Now, I'm going to flash up some really nice pictures because Floyd and Carl were able to do some fishing on Friday, and I want to kind of share what they were able to accomplish. But before I get to that, the problem, as you can see, is I am now sitting in the barn, or what we call the boat building. We have a 2024 ZV19 Pro that lives in this building, and this building is climate controlled. It stays 70 degrees all year round in this building, and so we take really super good care of it and stuff. But we have had a tremendous amount of issues with our boat, okay? Thus the lack of fishing videos that we have been able to put out on our channel. And we're going to dive into some of this because I really think this affects a lot of guys out there that, you know, purchase new boats and stuff. And, you know, I'm not here to bash any particular company. I'm not here to bash people. That's not what I do. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm the type of person that wants to solve the problem, okay? I want to work with these companies to help solve the issues, okay? And to prevent what's really been transpiring for Rebecca and I over the last almost 2 years. So we purchased our boat in February of 2024, okay? This was supposed to be a groundbreaking retirement purchase, a once-in-a-lifetime purchase for us, and the last boat that I would ever own. So when I went in with the attitude of that, you know, I was going to build this boat exactly how I wanted it, and I did. Part of the problem is that in this industry, especially in my opinion on the nitro side, you know, you rely on the Cabela's and the Bass Pro Shops, and sometimes their staffing is an issue because the people they're employing just don't have the right kind of knowledge or talent to be able to handle some of what these boats entail, especially when you're getting into the type of electronics and that kind of stuff. And the high-tech trolling motors and, you know, the crappie brakes, I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. And it takes guys that are properly trained to be able to assemble these boats in a manner in which, you know, you can avoid a lot of issues and problems, okay? So from the very beginning, you know, we purchased the boat in February. We didn't even get it. We made 6 boat payments before we even got the boat home. And when we did get the boat home, the very first time we took it out, trolling motor wouldn't even come on. It wouldn't even work. So that told me they didn't do any testing, you know, at all. And it went from that problem and escalated to the point where We needed to move the boat to a better facility where the people were much more well trained and versed in this style boat. So let's back up a little bit. Why did Rebecca and I choose a ZV19 boat? We chose it for stability. As you know, we're in our 60s. And, you know, this kind of motion, when, you know, especially Rebecca, she's very unstable and stuff. And I wanted her to feel completely safe out there on the water. And that boat offers that. Guys, I can tell you, you know, that boat rides like a Cadillac. I mean, compared to, you know, my Hydrosport bass boats and all the other bass boats I've ever owned, that boat just rode like a Cadillac, and it drove really nice, and it still does. So that it was a good choice for us. Now, the downside of that boat, excuse me, is it's extremely tall. So even here in the boat barn, if you look back there, there's a ladder back there. Okay, you have to climb up and down out of that boat by a ladder because there's no other way of getting in and out of it when it's on the trailer. You know, we also have the steps that go up the front. You know, so when we're out and about, she is able to climb up in the boat and get situated before I put it in the water. And so skip ahead a little bit. We went through got the boat moved from, so I'm here in Indiana. The boat was purchased at Cabela's in Noblesville, Indiana. We had it moved from there up to Bass Pro Shop up in Portage, Indiana. Now, I want to commend a couple people up there. First, the service manager. His name's John. An excellent person, awesome guy. I can tell you he bends over backwards for the customers. I mean, truly bends over backwards. And I'm going to tell you a little bit how he bent over backwards for us. And then he has a service guy by the name of Cody. Cody is so well versed in these nitro boats. And I've never met him personally, but I intend to, because he is just a wealth of knowledge. And his craftsmanship is, I mean, he's just, everything is done impeccable. He records pictures to make sure that if there's any issues down the road, he can look at a picture and go right back to that area and look at it and stuff, which you just don't find out there hardly anymore. So getting it up there was the best thing that could ever happen. I can tell you there was a couple of wiring harnesses that had to be completely replaced in this boat from one end to the other. You know, there was tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage done, and these guys took it on up there. And you know, I want to commend the store manager up there for taking on this challenge and stuff. You know, it really wasn't their problem, but because they represent the nitro industry, that's how they seen it. And you know, no matter what in life, you have to respect people of that caliber and to take on such a project. So we went through a lot of trial and errors, and Cody did a lot of testing. They would take it out on Lake Michigan up there. I had a lot of conversations. I've had tons of conversations with Cody on the phone, and we would converse back and forth and stuff, and dial things in. So the last time the boat was out was on the video, my birthday video, and that was around July the 11th. And we had brought it home, and I always try to clean the boat, you know, and you know, when I back it in here, it's untarped, and you know, we've shot videos of it being in here and stuff out of the boat. We talk about the HDS pros a lot on the channel. I try to help guys out as I get questions through emails and stuff. that's what provides the content that you guys see. You know, if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, how do I set up an easy screen, you know, and kind of go back and forth, I do that for you. I have been a part of the Lowrance electronic world since 1986, so I've kind of watched the company grow and all this new technology coming in, and kind of adapted to it. And that's one reason why I tell guys, it doesn't matter what brand you want or like, but stick with that brand and learn that brand. Because I can honestly tell you that if somebody came to me and asked me a Garmin question, I probably can't answer it, to be honest with you. And vice versa. You know, now I've helped Sean with his Garmin, but it was on a transducer. The transducers are all basically, the setup on them is pretty much the same. But when it comes to programming, you know, Sean, if you're watching this video, chime in on the comment, and, you know, there's really not much I can do. Now, Carl is well versed in Garmin. I mean, Carl can, I mean, he knows Garmin, and so does Floyd. You know, so I put Sean and Carl in touch with each other so that Sean could kind of do that. So not to get off subject, but anyway, I came out here, I got my truck packed, everything, all the camping gear was all packed in, everything was looking good. I was on schedule to leave the house here on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I had a scheduled day off from work for Friday. So basically we were going to fish all day Friday and Saturday. And I think the date today is, yeah, it's October the 4th. So we should be on the water right now fishing. But unfortunately, when I got out here, I hooked up to the boat like I always do, got everything all situated, and pulled the boat out. Now, in order for that big boat to fit in this building, I have to trim my motor down. So it is stored with the motor down, which is not a bad thing. It allows all the water out of the motor to drain out. Okay, and I always pull the plug on my way home, so any water in the hull of the boat, you know, from being out there and waves coming over the back end or whatever, all that water is completely out of the boat, okay? So I don't have to worry about water in here, because this does have a wood floor. This is one of those kind of like Amish buildings, so to speak. It's just a shed that, you know, we have put heat and electric into for the boat. And it was by far a cheaper way to go than building an actual building. I think we spent probably around $6,500. And then by putting electric and stuff in here, probably took it to about $7 grand, okay? And that's pretty cheap to make sure that, you know, that kind of an expensive boat, or any boat. You know, again, guys kind of reference their boats by how much they cost, but I got news for you. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's a $20,000 boat or a $100,000 boat. You got to take really good care of them, which I do. And in fact, if you look back there, you can see carpet, so that when the boat's backed in here, the wheels, the tires are sitting on carpet. They're never touching the wood or any of that. So I hook onto the boat and I pull it out and I go to trim the motor up, and there's nothing. It's dead. And, you know, I started trying to troubleshoot what was going on, and went up to my control panel on the dash. I had to untarp the boat, and it was dead. The trolling motor was still alive though, which really, I mean, it's on a separate system. I run lithium XP batteries, so I checked on my app, and it was showing that the lowest one was 94%, the other two were 96 and 100%. And the trolling motor come on fine. What I didn't have was anything in my XP Gelco, the gel starting motor battery. And so I opened up the battery box, and to my surprise and to my shock, the hull of the boat was full of water. Now, my boat is equipped with 3 hull sensors that lets me know if there's water in the boat. And then it is also equipped with automatic bilge pumps that, you know, any water that gets up high enough, the bilge pumps kick on and automatically pump the water out. None of this happened. And so I had a dear friend of mine, Robert, come over. I had John on the phone up at the Bass Pro Shop. We realized at that point that the NOCO 4-bank charger was completely trashed, and it's a very expensive charger. I'm guessing probably between $1,500 and $2,000 chargers now trashed. So the battery that starts the motor and stuff, which is made by XP2, is extremely heavy. I can vouch that it's probably a 100-pound battery, because even Robert struggled lifting it up and out of there, and there was no way I was going to. So thank you, Robert, for coming over and helping me with that. But the decision was made to take it back to Battery Plus to get it checked, and it was still under warranty. And I want to commend Adam at Batteries Plus. He was awesome. He fully charged it up. We ran it through the checks, and it had 3 shorted out cells in it. Now, what caused that? And we came back to the conclusion that the hull was completely disgusting. It has mold in it. It had a tremendous amount of water. I don't think the plug, and Robert was fiddling with the cable and found a kink in it. Well, there was a kink in it. I'm not sure if Robert found it, but anyway, he was playing with the cable, and we ended up taking, if I remember right, and don't quote me on this, we ended up taking about 55 gallons of water out of the hull. That's ridiculous. I never looked. I relied on the boat to tell me what was going on, and for the bilge pumps, if anything happened, would pump the water out. Just didn't realize. Now we raised the boat up far enough that we could drain as much of the water out, but there's some hull damage. And this is how good the Bass Pro Shop in Portage is. Sorry about that, guys. GoPro got hot and shut down on me there. But this is how good the Bass Pro Shop, John and Cody and them are up there. John packed a truck, put tools in it, put a brand new charger. I ran to Lafayette to get the new starting battery. I met back here, and it's late. I mean, John probably got here probably right around that 8 o'clock in the evening. But by then, I had climbed back up in the boat, reevaluated everything, and realized that we need to fix this. I mean, to be honest with you, we were doing way more harm by going on the trip than it was worth. So I get back here, John's here. He went ahead and we had some discussions about everything. He's checking everything out in the hull. We're realizing that there is way more damage going on than what we initially thought. To get myself back on the road and get going. And unfortunately, we made the decision at that point in time that the boat needed to go back to Bass Pro Shop and for Cody to take a look at everything and start checking everything out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was extremely disappointed, and it was very disheartening because now I'm unpacking my truck and I'm making a phone call to Floyd and Carl and to Scott. And Scott, I sincerely apologize that I was not able to make this happen. It would have been an awesome video. Everybody, I think, would have enjoyed it because of the fact that everybody seemed to really enjoy you win in the contest, and I wanted to get him out there. So I felt really bad about that, guys. I really, truly did. So Scott, as you were watching this video, I'm deeply sorry. And Scott, to give Scott credit, he did offer to bring his boat and for us to fish out of it, but I was upset. And when I mean upset, I'm not throwing things or any of that kind of stuff. If you know me, I'm not that kind of person. And most of my friends will tell you that. But I realized that there's a problem. And I have a wonderful tool in this YouTube to be able to help other people. You have to look at the positives as much as you look at the negatives in life. And you have to play the cards that are dealt to you. So I kind of am on this crusade now to help other fishermen, such as all of you, that may have issues. And you know, one of the things that I want to try to do is to work with Nitro or Tracker or any other boat maker to make sure that when the product goes out there that it is as good as it can be. Now, we're human. I mean, there are going to be quality issues in everything that we do in life, okay? There are always going to be those hidden problems that nobody sees until you're on the water. And, you know, I would encourage you never to get upset about it, but to see the positive side that you found it and you can work through it. I have put out to, I told John when he left here that day that it has been extremely disappointing how all this has went down. It is not directed, and I'm not slamming Nitro. I am not slamming the Bass Pro Shop up there in Portage in any way, guys. I am extremely thrilled with the customer service I've received. I would caution, I am not slamming, but I would caution purchasing boats from the Cabela's in Noblesville, Indiana, and making sure that the staff there has the knowledge to be able to do build the boat that you want built, okay? From the standpoint of the foundation of these boats, they are solid. The Tracker line is solid, the Nitro line is solid. It's when you start adding a lot of electronics and add-ons that there's where the challenge arises, okay? And if you don't have the right person that has that knowledge, then you're asking and begging for trouble. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. Now, I put out there to John that my disappointment level was extremely high. And at this point, I would just as soon let Nitro have the boat back because of the hull damage that I seen. And to be quite truthful and honest with you, if you know anything about the ZV19, it is almost impossible to clean the entire hull without completely lifting the upper deck completely off of the boat. And that in itself would be an enormous task and very costly. Now, I have not heard back from John since Thursday night. He didn't leave here until almost midnight. Now, if that doesn't attest to the customer service side of the Bass Pro Shop in Portage, Indiana, I don't know what does, guys, because the man worked his tail off to do everything he could to get me on the road. And I honestly believe he would do it for anybody. It wouldn't matter if it was a simple 16-foot little Tracker aluminum boat. I think he would do it. That's the kind of person and the kind of customer service that he provides. And I hope Bass Pro Shop, the whole organization, the upper level organization, realizes that what he is doing, because he brings that comfort when you're spending $20,000 or $100,000. He brings that comfort to light that there's going to be somebody there to help take care of you. Now, I'm not going to say he's dropping everything and going to everybody every time somebody calls, because that would be impossible. But at least he's making efforts that, to be honest with you, you just don't see out there anymore. It's very old school, and I appreciate that. So John, if you see this video, thank you very much for what you did that night. It was very comforting, and I appreciate it. I have not heard anything back from them. I'm kind of letting them do their due diligence up there, but I'm not opposed to replacing the boat with a Z20 Pro XL with dual consoles, and just primarily moving all of my electronics over to that boat, including all my lithium batteries and my complete setup over on it, and having Cody do all the work this time. Somebody that has the knowledge and has the skill to be able to do it. As we go through this process, you know, obviously we need to make the best decisions, what's best for Rebecca and I and the channel, and also what is in the best interest for Bass Pro Shop and Nitro. Hopefully, you know, through the conversations I've been having with the Nitro people and you know, as an industry as a whole, we really need to get a grip on this, because as the electronics and all that stuff, really, it's just like your automobiles nowadays. I mean, you know, some of us can actually remember changing the spark plugs and spark plug wires in our cars, you know, when we first started driving. And today, I wouldn't even know where to freaking begin. We've got onboard computer systems and everything else that really governs these vehicles and stuff. And it's the same thing for you know, the boats. And I can honestly tell you, my XS Pro, that Mercury motor, is an awesome engine. I even kidded with John and said, can I keep my motor? You know, can we just switch motors, you know? I love the motor. It's great on fuel consumption. It's great on power. I think Mercury has put out an outstanding product on that level. So there's just a lot of positives, but there's also the negatives in this. And I wanted to share this video with you guys and kind of how this thing progresses and where we land, because I think this really will help other boat owners out there that are in the fishing industry know that they're not alone, that you know, I rely on the boat for the YouTube channel, for the content, and you know, we've really lacked in that this year because of all the issues that we've had and stuff. And now we know that a lot of those issues is because the hull of the boat was full of water, and literally you can tell by the watermark on there, it went clear over the top of the batteries and over the onboard charger. And little did I know that probably since I've actually owned this boat, it has never drained, and I didn't know that. We took a lot of water out of it, which is a lot of weight out of that boat. So was it disheartening? Extremely disheartening. You know, but it wasn't going to do me or anybody else any good to throw a fit and to get, you know, bent out of shape to the point where, you know, you're yelling and screaming at people. You have, for me, I wanted to look at it as a way to learn from it and to help others and to be able to help solve the problem instead of becoming part of the problem. You know, at the end of each one of my videos, I tell everybody, please be kind, and that's where it kind of starts. I mean, you know, did they do it on purpose? No, I don't think anybody did it intentionally or sabotaged it. I think that, you know, it was a multitude of things stacked on top of each other that caused all this. And it was a lack of knowledge, it was a lack of experience, and it just dominoed. So stay tuned to the channel as we progress. Hopefully we will either have our Nitro back and everything will be completely spot on. Again, I'm leaving it up to John and Cody and to Nitro to figure out, is it better to just take everything off the boat and put it on a different boat, and that's the boat I end up with, which is fine with me? Or is it better to, you know, stay with the ZV line and start with a new boat with the ZV line? Is it better to fix this boat and go through it and do what needs to be done? I'm going to let them kind of help guide me on that a little bit. And obviously, you know, they've lost a ton of money, and I don't want to see any company, you know, they won't be around if they're losing that kind of money, guys. And we don't want to lose a brand like Nitro, because it is a good brand. It is a solid boat, and I do stand behind the Nitro brand. So I want to make that clear. I'm no way, shape, or form bashing them. It was unfortunate, and I think the kink in the cable was done by somebody that wasn't knowledgeable, wasn't sure what they were doing when they were working on the boat, and you know, may have set something on it. From the looks of it, it looked like it would have been bent and kind of crimped, and so, you know, that prevented it from the plug actually doing what it was supposed to do. And by Robert reaching in there and pulling it around and stuff, it actually started draining. And we drained it all in 5-gallon buckets and took it out here in the yard and dispersed of it. So do me a favor, if you've kind of seen the same issues out there, leave me some comments. I'm very interested in that, and obviously I'm interested in your guys' opinions. This video is one where I hope to get a lot of comments generated on this subject. And you know, obviously the boats have gotten a lot more expensive. Everything in life has gotten more expensive. Automobiles, boats, you know, motorcycles, everything. So, including groceries, you know. So, obviously we all work extremely hard for our income, and we want to know that we're making sound investments and stuff. So, hopefully, you know, through this video, we can get some dialogue going that, you know, we can put something together and be able to share it with the manufacturers and help them solve the problem, guys. That's the biggest thing. I honestly believe that, you know, if the centers such as Cabela's and Noblesville don't have the right people to do this, then, you know, they need to have an avenue to send the boat to an independent contractor that does. Now, I will tell you that when I purchased the boat, the person that they did have there was had 35, 40 years experience. Now, by the time the boat got to where he had retired. Now, you know, I don't want to start rumors or anything, but it seemed a little sudden that all of a sudden the man retired when he was very enthusiastic about taking on my boat project. So I don't know if something else happened there. I don't want to start rumors. You know, it is what it is. But I can tell you that, you know, things drastically went downhill really quickly. So there's a word of caution there. Again, I'm not trying to slam any of the staff at the Cabela's and Noblesville. You know, I'm sure they did the best job that they could possibly do with the amount of knowledge they had. But there comes a certain point when you got to say, this is too far above our heads. We need to do this, or they could have sent it up to John and Cody and avoided probably a lot of these problems and issues. So with that being said, I want to end the video on a little brighter note, because I believe that, you know, there needs to be more positive than negative. So in the last video, I talked about the no-name swimming hand-tied jig, and I have been working diligently hard on it, and as you can see, I have quite a few different color combinations that I have built and tied so far. So I did these in the hopes that this weekend this is what I was going to use. I wasn't going to use anything other than the badass jig and this new jig that we tied the other night. I am super proud of this jig. This took me over a year to perfect. I have taken it out here and done a lot of R&D work. I have also been testing some other materials and stuff, because obviously you're limited to the color of what that material has. And so, excuse me, obviously I'd like to find some different colored material and stuff to help make up even additional color combinations and stuff. But I think that these jigs would have done extremely well this weekend, and just sorry that that's not the video you're watching today, because I think that that video is coming. We are going to get it in there. Now, obviously I can't do anything until I get a boat, but hopefully sooner than later, and hopefully, you know, we're not doing this as far as ice fishing. And as you can see, I've actually started doing these now, and it takes a ton of practice. I'm not going to lie to you. So start with your 1/16 ounce and kind of work your way down. But this is what I intend to ice fish with. This is a 1/80th scale and made from the same material. And I'm excited to do that. So hopefully this video isn't too long, and all of you were kind of sticking with me on it, and kind of will work with me, so to speak, to share any of your events or situations. And I'm open to any criticism on my part. Obviously, we can always do better. And again, I thank each and every one of you guys. Our channel is now up to 220 subscribers. I am truly excited about that. And I think that we can hit the 500 mark our first year. I ask all of you, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're inclined, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm only going to get better and better at this, and the content's only going to get better and better. Obviously, having a boat underneath me is going to help. I'm by no means a professional, but you know, I love sharing what's working for me, and in hopes that it will help those of you out there fill your live wells and freezers up with some very tasty bluegill, crappie, walleye, whatever the case may be. But we're going to try to get back out there even yet this season, and put some good fishing content together. So greatly appreciate everybody coming along for this video, and I will keep everybody posted. I won't do a full-fledged video until I actually have the boat back, whether it's a new boat, whether it's the old boat, whatever. Then at that point, I'll do a complete update video, but I will do briefs in other videos, letting you know kind of where we're at, so that it's not a cliffhanger. I don't like those. I don't think you need to do that kind of stuff to get people to watch your channel and stuff. I'll keep everybody abreast. So other than that, guys, coming from you live here in my empty boat barn, good night, everybody. And always remember, please be kind. Good night.